our topic is history of English literature. First of all, we have to know why should we learn the history of English literature. History is major part of everyday life. Everyone has a history, a past. It's the same way with English. It's not enough just to understand the stories and author's purpose of writing them. Understanding where it came from is very important to making a sense of the whole subject. Here's the story of English literature begins with Germanic tradition of the Anglo-Saxon settlers. However, the history of English literature divided into various periods. Let's see the periods first for better understanding. The list I have provided you on the screen is brief comment on each period in chronological order. Firstly, Old English or Anglo-Saxon period. Then Middle English can be divided into three parts: before Chaucer, Age of Revival. Next, the Renaissance. Recently, critics and historians have begun to call this as the early modern period. This period is subdivided into four parts. The Neoclassical period. Neoclassical period is also subdivided into ages. Finally, the Romantic period and Victorian period, Edwardian period, Georgian period, modern and postmodern period. Before going to a detailed information of each period, I would like to tell you people that we are not able to complete entire history in one video. So this is a series of lecture. So do subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon so that you never miss an update. Now let's see the history of early Britain. For that, let's go back to the time when England was inhabited by Celtic people. These Celtic people also called as Brythons, from whom this land called as Britain. During this period, the Roman invaded the Britain with the intention of extending the Roman Empire and remains in Britain from 43 AD to 14 AD. That's almost 4 centuries. After so many attacks, the Roman Empire falling apart. When Roman troops departed, Britain became open to the other invaders. Next, the turn is German-speaking tribes, and these Germanic tribes included Angles, Saxons and Jutes. Because of the Jutes were less in population, the major chunk were Angles and Saxons, and these Anglo-Saxons also brought their own religion beliefs, that is, pagan religion, wherever the Britain people were Christians. But after the arrival of Saint Augustine in 597 AD, converted most of the country to the Christianity, and these Anglo-Saxon groups pushed the native people to the Scotland, Wales and Ireland. After that, they settled in different parts of the country and formed several kingdoms like Northumbria, Mercia, East Anglia, Sussex, Wessex, Essex and Kent. When I am talking about the Anglo-Saxon kingdom, let me tell you the most notable king, that is the King Alfred the Great, the only English poet who was titled as the Great. After ascending the throne, the King Alfred spent several years fighting Viking invasions, Viking or Norsemen who came from the Scandinavian. First, they invaded the Britain in 793 AD, but the King Alfred defeated Vikings at the Battle of Edington in 878 AD. Now, Anglo-Saxon culture flourished. They became natives of Britain, which means Romans were replaced by Anglo-Saxons, and the Anglo-Saxons named the newly conquered land as Angle land, which means land of Angles. Angle land later it becomes England. Now, Anglo-Saxons ruled Britain for 600 years, till Normans defeated the Anglo-Saxons at the Battle of Hastings. Now, let's look at the literature that we have today of Anglo-Saxon period. English literature began with oral tradition, literature passed by words of mouth. Initially, we found songs. In that, we can find the great and hidden life of Anglo-Saxons expression in all their literature. Most of the Old English poetry is preserved in four manuscripts: Exeter Book, Wassail Book, Junius Manuscript, Beowulf Manuscript. The Exeter Book is a miscellaneous gathering of lyrics, riddles, and religion narrative. The Junius manuscript, also called as Caedmon manuscript, the books contain biblical paraphrases. Wassail book, which contains saint leaves and several short religion poems. Next, the Beowulf manuscript contains Beowulf, Judith, and three prose tracts. However, the writings of Old English period can be classified into three parts, that is, heroic poetry, religious poetry, and lyrical poetry. As as already I told you that there was a Brythons who were Christians and Germans who were pagan religion. Brythons used to write Christian poetry, whereas Germans used to write heroic poetry. I would like to give an example writings of these three parts. Beowulf and Widsith are example of heroic poetry. Dream of the Root are example for Christian poetry. Wanderer and Seafarers are examples of lyrical poetry. Now let's see Old English poets. Caedmon was called as the first English poet. Actually, he was shepherd. He don't know anything about poem and writings until God blessed him in his dream. Then after that, he is not only able to sing but also able to write. God appears and tells about write him about God creations. Caedmon is also called as Anglo-Saxons Milton. Caedmon's hymn is one of the oldest surviving texts in the Old English. It is the short poem of 9 lines. It's about the honor of God. And another poet of this period is Kenilworth. Kenilworth, he is the first to use runic signature and he is best known for 4 works. They are Ellen, Juliana, The Fate of Apostle, The Christ too. Caedmon and Kenilworth wrote on biblical and religious theme. Most of the works of Caedmon related to the Old Testament and the Kenilworths were the New Testament. Here is also works by anonymous writers. The Exeter Book Riddles, The Wives Lament, The Seafarer, The Wanderer, and The Dreams of the Road. One of the longest epic poem in the Old English by anonymous writer with 3182 alliterative lines is Beowulf. Now, let's over to the literary techniques used in Anglo-Saxon poetry. Anglo-Saxons poems were written in blank verse. There was no end rhyme. Commonly used poetic device was alliteration, which is repetition of consonant sounds within a line of poetry. They mostly use the caesura, a pause in the middle of poetry, that means taking a breath. Canning were the another device which is commonly used Anglo-Saxon poetry, that is specialized metaphor made for compound words. Examples of canning were Whale Road is a canning for sea, Battle Sweat is canning for blood. And another literary technique is riddle, which is linguistic guessing game. Now let's slide. One of the greatest scholar of the Anglo-Saxon period was Bede. He is most famous for his work Ecclesiastical History of the English People, originally written in Latin, which gained him the title of Father of English History. We can also see that even prose was developed in this period. Prose was developed after the Christianity was spread. King Alfred the Great is the pioneer of the prose. He started the Anglo-Saxon Chronicles. The Chronicles continued 9th to 11th century. Prose writers of Old English period are King Alfred, father of the English prose, Alfric, Wulfstan. And that's it for the part 1. Please share your thoughts through comments. Thanks for watching this video till the end.